Mute. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Burning Questions podcast. Game Week 21 is underway. We have had the first round of fixtures take place, and we knew when we recorded this time last week that we would know the outcome of the Salah-Palmer captaincy debate. The Palmer captaincy that I laughed at this time last week. The Palmer captaincy that I said I wouldn't go anywhere near this time last week. Well, it was drop points for Chelsea, but it was not drop points for Palmer captain. Two Palmer captainers sat here. I have to say and apologise to Tom for laughing at him for suggesting it last week and saying it was his Chelsea bias or this, that and the other. I intended to captain Alexander Isak. I decided not to. We'll get all of that in a moment. Tom, how are you doing?
I'm okay. My voice is slightly gone after the game last night. I can't really, it's a bit hoarse. A lot of shouting at a referee who wasn't very good, in my opinion, and a little bit of shouting at Nico Jackson as well.
Extra shouting because he's in your fantasy team, or just shouting in general?
To be honest, when I go to Stamford Bridge, it's more about Chelsea. I'm not really that bothered, but I also couldn't see. You know the header that he missed?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was him from the other end. So when I saw the highlights, I was a little bit more annoyed. But Palmer was good. I was always going to captain Palmer, as you know. So that was. It seems like everyone suddenly changed their mind.
To be fair, I think it was more. A lot of people changed their mind from Isak to Palmer. I don't think I saw that many people on Salah for a while. But the slight concern of minutes to Isak is what forced me away from Isak. 10 points. I probably would keep it on Palmer now.
Yeah, I mean,
he'd need a double. He needs 2 returns. Yeah. If it had been, an 8 or a 9, then maybe you'd be inclined to think about switching it. But now that you think that Isak has to get a double return, I'd be inclined to keep it on Palmer. I sold Jackson this week.
Got away with one there.
I got away with it. Like looking at the data for Jackson versus Chris Wood. Well, to be fair, it wasn't really Jackson versus Wood. It was going to be Jackson versus Gordon for me this week. I ended up playing Chris Wood in the end because João Pedro was a little bit concerning about his minutes, but it was a difficult watch as a Chelsea fan, and a Chelsea fan that had sold Enzo Fernandez and sold Jackson last night. Could have been very, very different. And then Chris Wood taking his one chance in the Forest game against Liverpool and scoring it. I was like, God, I feel like I got lucky with some of the, all the 50-50 decisions I feel like I've got wrong for the past few weeks finally went my way this week. Let's just have a look at a little bit of midweek scores. Tom, I'll let you go first. You've only had 4 play, so still a lot to go.
Yeah, I just agree. Red Arrow. I'm not quite sure why. Probably Robinson and Wood.
Right, those Robinson assists is outrageous. Have you seen the goals?
I actually haven't, to be honest. I read that they were just crosses that everyone missed or something.
Yeah, so Robinson passed it to Iwobi twice, 30 yards away from goal. Iwobi puts in a cross and they just go in.
Oh, Iwobi scores from a cross, right? I see.
So Iwobi has those 2 goals he scored are 0.04 XG combined, and Robinson gets both the assists. When I looked at it and I saw that's what's damaged my rank, I was not happy. But as a Palmer captain, so that's probably why you're on a red arrow. But with so many to play, I imagine you're not very far off a green because the captaincy is a 8-point swing in your favour against the Salah captainers.
Yeah, I mean, grateful that Palmer did something. Otherwise, it would be really bad. But yeah, I sold Semenyo as well at 5.58, getting on the tube. So I kind of wish I'd been underground at the time now.
Who'd you sell him for?
Yeah, I sold him for Ahmad. So the original setup was Semenyo first sub with João Pedro and Rodgers. And now...
I don't think you'll get Rodgers
if João Pedro misses out completely...
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm not too gutted. Looking in hindsight, the 29 fixture's not that different. So it's probably a transfer I'd rather have, but I'm sure Ahmad will keep ticking over.
Yeah.
And if he scores against Southampton, everything looks fine. Jackson was frustrating, but I don't think... Obviously, there's going to be people in the chat having a pop at him, and rightly so. It was poor finishing. But from a rational standpoint, he's if you didn't sell him this week, I don't really see why you'd sell him this week.
No.
Sorry, if you didn't sell him last week, I don't see why you'd sell him this week.
No.
Definitely a goal coming. He's hit the post again. I do kind of agree with that. He's more of a buy than a sell. Like 2 of the next 3 are good. But yeah, I'll be hanging on for 1 more probably, and then Gakpo in 23.
Yeah, I agree. I think people will look at Chris Wood and have him at Southampton at home, and it is tempting. Like, I get it. Like, I did the transfer this week, and I'm glad I've done it. But I only did it because I needed the money. I only did it because I wanted Gordon. Like, I didn't do it because I thought Chris Wood was a better pick than Jackson. I did it because I thought Gordon and Wood combined was better than Jackson and Enzo, which is probably the case. But yes, I agree. If you've got Jackson, like Wolves at home, let's see how they get on tonight against Newcastle. But you can't, like, he could have had one. I mean, I know we say it every week though, right? That's the thing. And we've been saying it for a while. And he could easily have come away from that game with 2 goals and assist, if not more. But
I actually think he was unlucky though. Like, he hit the post from a great effort, and the header, I'm not sure he did too much wrong with the header.
No. But then there's that cross which he puts over the bar.
Yeah, I didn't have the best view of that, but
yeah,
but I saw a few people on Twitter talking about his minutes and stuff. Like, there's absolutely no way he doesn't start game week 23.
Oh no,
absolutely
no chance. The fact that Nkunku was an unused sub when we had an extra sub available, they just decided to play Jackson because that's our best striker.
And rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you want to know why he's in the team, you just got to watch Palmer's goal.
Yeah, exactly. And just watch the match outside of Jackson in the penalty box. Outside of that, he was great. Like,
and the fact now the yellow card's gone, right? He is straight up in the referee's face every single foul.
Yeah.
Delaying the restart every time. He does it on purpose. As soon as he gets to 4 yellow cards, he just switches it off.
Yeah. And I think that's part of his game. Like, he didn't get booked while he was on 4 yellows, but his returns also dried up. That 4 yellows, those yellow cards, what motivates him. It's what allows him to be what he wants to be on the pitch. And when he's on that tightrope, he doesn't like it. So yeah, if you've got him, it's only 4 points, but you have to keep for Wolves at home. Again, though, I suppose the difficult thing is if you need the money for something else, like Jackson to Woods to free up money for, I don't know, a Gordon or something else that you like. Then it's another conversation. But straight Jackson out this week is not something that I'd be doing.
Yeah.
Having a look, I'm on 33 at the moment. I've had Chris Wood, Palmer captain, Salah and Trent. So blanks for my double Liverpool. Not particularly worried about that. They've got the double coming up. Nice to see Trent start. Nice to see Trent play 97 minutes that he did. Nice to see that it was other Liverpool defenders that were all over the place and not Trent particularly this time, although the goal did come from that pocket in between, well, I suppose more Konate and Van Dijk. But it's just a nice little bit of confirmation on Trent that he is first choice, which is what we need with a double game week coming up. I've got a lot to play. I've got Isak, I've got Gordon, I've got Munoz, I've got double arse defence tonight. I've got Ahmad and I've got Bruno Fernandes. I've got 2 free transfers as well. So quite happy with the couple of moves that I made. But again, it could absolutely have been a Jackson 12-pointer and a Chris Wood blank, and then it looks very, very different. Yes, mid-game week though. What we're going to do today is have a look at the double, really, is what we're mainly going to focus on, and starting to have a think about which players we want for the double coming up in game week 24. So what we've got on screen is the fixtures over the next 6 ranked by difficulty. You've got Liverpool and Everton, of course, at the top because they have a double, and fixture tickers will naturally put teams with a double higher up the fixture ticker because they have an additional fixture to go and score points. Outside of that, Crystal Palace fall top of all the teams without a double. You've also got Manchester United, you've got Spurs, you've got Arsenal in there as well. Slightly lower down the list, I mean, Manchester City remain bottom of the fixture ticker. If you've got any of your City defenders still, anyone out there, you've got to be thinking of moving them off. And I think what's quite interesting is the 2 teams which are sort of in the middle now are Newcastle and Brentford. There is a fantastic fixture swing between the 2. I think Gordon to Mbeumo in game week 25 or game week 24 even is going to be one of the most popular transfers we see. Also, Fernandes could go to him, but I think anyone who's got Gordon will be looking at Brian Mbeumo in game week 24.
Yes, yeah, that was penciled in for me. Although Gordon going to Man City, I
I know,
mean,
but and Burma at home to Spurs. I think I know which I take. Like,
yeah, but that's the week before, isn't it? You're not going to sell Gordon for Fulham at home, are you?
do you not think Burma at home to Spurs is better?
I mean, it may be better, but I
I
might,
mean, I might be focusing on the transfers for the double
yeah,
in 24. So, I mean, you could, in theory, 24, 25, Brentford become really,
yeah,
really good. Visa is another one.
yeah.
Like,
You were
people
talking
are,
about him last week.
I was talking about him last week, and I still think I might sell Chris Wood at some point to buy Visa. Probably won't happen unless I decide to buy Gakpo. It could be João Pedro that goes as well. From game week 25 onwards, Brentford are right at the top, and we saw again, it could have been Burma getting the points. It was Visa who got them last night. Like, I think Burma had it cleared off the line twice in that game. So yeah, Brentford are going to be right up there. Crystal Palace, United as well. Out of interest, are your transfers at the moment purely based on buying players from the double now, or are there other players you fancy over the next couple of weeks?
Well, I'm probably going to buy Chris Wood this week for João Pedro, to be honest, because
Yeah.
you get four good fixtures now. And I'm also just sick of Chris Wood scoring, to be honest.
Yeah.
And in 29 as well, you're getting a better fixture.
Mm-hmm.
Ipswich versus Man City in
Yeah.
João Pedro's case. So I think, especially, I'm trying to save that free hit now. I think so.
Mm.
I'm pretty set on getting Chris Wood this week. Seems
Out of
smart. And then
interest, is your plan to save the free hit to wild card in 30 or to save the wild card later as well?
so I think I'm good. I want a wild card 30.
Yeah. I think that'll be
So
very, very common and popular of a chip strategy. Wild card, dead end, sort of, into 29, wild card 30.
the thing with Chris Wood, right? So someone's like Tanky said in the chat after Southampton, it's not great. I mean, Bournemouth, Brighton, Fulham. I think it's pretty good for the informed striker.
Yeah.
Don't really have a
I
problem
think
with
it's
that.
fine. Like, I don't think it's amazing. Like, Bournemouth, Brighton, Fulham, all on their day can be very good defensively. But Forest are absolutely a team that are playing so well at the moment and just creating chances for him.
Yeah.
So,
And I also would have Rodgers and Ahmad. So there is a benching. You could bench him.
and I mean, there is a good rotation when Chris Wood's fixtures get a little bit worse in 26, 27. Both of Brighton and Brentford have a really nice run during that period. So if you've got a João Pedro or you've got a Visa as your other forward, they rotate really, really well with Chris Wood. And of course, he's then got Ipswich in the blank as well. So, I mean, it looked great because I've bought him. But I can
Would you buy
understand
him
looking
this
at
week?
it.
If I want a striker this week, would you buy him? Or would you say go like Visser? Probably
I
not.
don't think I'd buy Vissa now. Like, I think I would go Chris Wood.
Yeah.
I think it's close because once you get to 25, Vissa is like West Ham away, Leicester away, Everton at home. It looks really good for him then as well. But Chris Wood just looks so inevitable. It's so difficult to look past him every week. Southampton at home is just the perfect entry point. So I probably would go Chris Wood if I was buying a striker this week.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, go on. The thing to note on this round of fixtures is just to add is that game week 27 is midweek. So we're starting to get to the point. So like Jackson has Southampton at home in game week 27. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play that, but it doesn't sound like you're going to keep him until then anyway.
No, I don't think so. Although what I would say is we have to remember the last time Maresca rotated, it was an absolute shambles.
It was,
And
but
Nkunku might not even be at the club.
last time we played a midweek fixture against Southampton, we rotated and we beat them like, what,
Yeah, this is
5-1?
true.
So,
But like, yeah, I mean, maybe it could be Mark Gu time if
yeah.
Nkunku's not here. But yeah, I guess that's one to think about. But yeah, I can imagine people will sell up before Man City, which ironically is probably quite a good fixture for Jackson to run in behind.
Yeah, I agree. I have thought that. The game week, 23, when we go to Manchester City, is probably quite a good fixture for Chelsea attackers. But on paper, it's red, and there are a lot of nice forwards at a cheaper price. I think the thing is money. Again, if I didn't need the money, I don't think I'd have sold Jackson. And the other thing that's quite nice is that we're Monday night for that Wolves at home and West Ham at home fixture. So if you like the having players left at the end of the game week, having Jackson for Wolves at home and West Ham at home on Monday nights is quite nice. But yeah, Jackson in 23. So looking at the teams at the top, you've got Ahmad, and have you got any Palace?
Yeah, I've got Munoz, which I'm happy about. Man United, come 27, I can definitely see myself looking towards Bruno for 29. If you're saying you've got Ipswich and Leicester in 3 weeks, you can definitely see that. Palace, I did consider Sarr instead of Ahmad last night, but now I've avoided it for the Leicester game. Apparently you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was.
Okay. But yeah, Palace, I can't see myself needing an Eze or a Sarr now. So I'll probably avoid that. And then Spurs, probably not. I mean, people talk about Solanke from next week. Maybe Jackson to Solanke. It's like Gakpo. It's probably like Solanke against Gakpo, isn't it? It's one extra fixture.
I mean, you're just going to go Gakpo, I think. Like, if Gakpo's the one you want in 23, you're going Gakpo and you're not going Solanke.
And we won't know who's in the final on 23, will we? So
no.
You don't. Obviously, if you were playing towards 29 and Liverpool went through, then their extra fixture would be cancelled out.
Yeah.
But then again, you could do Gakpo to Solanke in any week after that, couldn't you? So
yeah, exactly. And the thing with Solanke is the money on it. Like, again, you're entering territory where you've got someone like a Visa at cheaper, you've got someone like a Chris Wood at cheaper, you've even got someone like a Raul Jimenez at much cheaper as well, who has Forest at home, Palace at home, Wolves away from 25 to 27 as well. There were just a lot of good cheap strikers in the game, which makes it difficult for me to own a Jackson or a Solanke, especially when I'm spending a lot of money on Isak now, who's definitely going nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of forwards. We're talking a lot about forwards. I guess Mateta's one more to mention. Yep. And then I'll ask you what your favourite... Like, what would be your front three if you're wildcarding this week?
Chris Wood, Alexander Isak, and probably Wisa.
Yeah.
I would be tempted to go... It would depend a little bit on how much I needed to play Visa. I would be tempted on Mateta. The issue is you've missed Leicester away. And that's feels kind of the point of buying Palace this week just gone, is that's the entry point. Yes, their fixtures remain good, but you're always going to... if he does points tonight away at Leicester and people buy him, it's a bit like... That's what you should have bought him for, expecting him to do well against Leicester, not then going into West Ham, Brentford, United. It's okay, but the Leicester away fixture is definitely it. So I think I would go Brentford. I mean, I've been big on Brentford and I've penciled in Visa for quite a while. So I might look at João Pedro to him in 25.
You're not considering Gakpo then? I mean, we can move on to the doubles if we're done here. But you saying, you're talking a lot about Visa. Are you not? And
I might go Gakpo.
We were talking about Alisson.
Yeah. So
where are you standing on third Liverpool?
So we've both got Salah and Trent, and that's the most popular.
I got Van Dijk.
You got Van Dijk. Out of interest, if you were on wildcard now, would you go Van Dijk or would you go Trent?
I'm just chucking Gakpo
or Konate
to get some money. If I was on wildcard now, do I need the money? Just putting Wood in to see how much I actually... If I could afford it, I think Trent is better than Van Dijk if you can afford it. There's probably without a doubt, but...
Interesting quotes from Konate last night, or the other day, saying that he's still not fully fit, and he basically saw the Gomez injury and rushed himself back. A little bit concerning. Yeah. A good sign, a little bit, spacing,
but... He came off on 53, didn't he?
The good thing about the double for Liverpool, and I think it's a good thing, is the spacing. So let me get the fixtures up and some of their key assets. So they play Brentford at the weekend. Then they play Tuesday in the Champions League against Lille, which I expect there'll be some rotation in. Because they basically, all they need is other teams not to win, and they're through, basically.
Yeah.
Then they play Ipswich. Then they play the Champions League again, which I expect there'll be a whole load of rotation in.
So that'll
Then
probably
it's
be a dead rubber.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then it will be Bournemouth. Then it's the Cup. Then it's Plymouth Argyle, and then it's Everton. And I expect big rotation for them in PSV and Plymouth Argyle, which is the 2 fixtures before the 2 fixtures of the double. So I actually think the rotation is expected in those fixtures, and we'll have a lot of first team players rested for the 2 fixtures in the double, which I think is quite nice. So I quite like Gakpo. I think he's the best attacker. I worry a little bit about Luis Diaz's minutes. He said that Jota is ready to play 90. I don't see Diaz taking Gakpo's place, so I think it is Diaz versus Jota for that final spot. So Gakpo feels the safest unless you double up on the defence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I haven't massively decided. I do think the spacing makes it easier to punt on a Liverpool attacker, because if you add in the Ipswich game, the double, and Wolves, if I told you any Liverpool attacker started 3 out of the 4, you'd buy them for those games.
And you'd have to see. I can't see a world where Gakpo. Well, obviously it's possible, but like, how many games in a row has he started now? And suddenly he's going to miss 2 and 4 around an FA Cup game against Plymouth and a Champions League dead rubber.
Yeah,
like, you just can't really see it.
No, exactly.
And Diaz, like, you just have to look at his minutes. It's just not as reliable. 59, then he missed out against Leicester.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Gakpo's the best, and I definitely want it. I definitely want to punt that. And the double fixtures are not actually that, like, Bournemouth and Everton away.
So that's why I fancy double defence. Do you think?
That's why you fancy double defence.
So I look at those fixtures and I'm not sure they're that high scoring. That's the only thing with that. I don't necessarily think Liverpool are that great defensively from a clean sheet point of view, but I also look at it and think, I don't know how much I see them scoring 2 or 3 in those games.
Yeah, but then you chuck Ipswich and Wolves either side.
Yeah, that's true. But then they could easily keep clean sheets in those.
Yeah, this is true. It's back and forth, yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of comes down to a little bit what's easier, because the issue with me buying Chris Wood now is I don't think I'm going to sell Chris Wood to buy Gakpo. And my only route to Gakpo then is selling João Pedro and going up to him. And that's a lot of money. And that's a lot of money for a lot of people to go and find to do that. So suddenly a double defence is much easier to get to than a Luis Diaz might be. Because to get to Luis Diaz, you're probably going to need to sell a Gordon, a Bruno, and a Mbeumo to get to it. And that's not something you want to do, really. To get to Gakpo, he's more expensive than a lot of the forwards we own. The double defence is the easiest to get to. That's why my thought process is maybe I just do that because it's easy. Not necessarily because I think it's the best, but it's easier.
Yeah. I mean, if you have Jackson, it's incredibly easy to get Gakpo for Ipswich at home. And I think that's what...
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
If, for example, we know after the Lille game that they're top of of the Champions League, or we know they're definitely qualified in the top 8, that would really, really encourage me to go and buy for Ipswich at home. That was actually part of the reason I almost bought Gakpo this week instead of Chris Wood, because I thought he'd be the one I'd want, but I didn't because I wasn't certain of it, and I wanted a couple of weeks to make up my mind, see the Champions League and stuff like that. Alisson's safe. I could go Van Dijk, but Gakpo does feel like the most exciting, particularly with the fixtures either side.
Yeah, and Liverpool are on the deadline in 23, so it's possible.
Oh, what is there? There's no 12:30.
Yeah, it's 3:00 kickoffs.
That is a major boost. Brighton have got Everton at home that week though, so to sell João Pedro for that, to go to Gakpo, I don't know whether I'll necessarily do it for 23, because I might need money because I mean we're looking at permutations for my team, which is not always that relevant. But for example, I've got Arsenal away
this week.
What,
can
away
you do
at
João Pedro to Gakpo this week? No, you can't do it this week.
I got $500,000 in the bank. So, I mean, I suppose our rating at the moment is Salah 1, of course.
Yeah.
Trent 2, and then Gakpo.
I think so, yeah.
But for example, I would actually prefer Gakpo and Konate than not getting Gakpo, probably. So maybe that does put Gakpo 2, Trent 3. How do you feel on Jota? Simon F asking in the chat. It's a no for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's been fit now for 6 weeks, six game weeks, and he hasn't started. And it's all well and good saying he's ready for 90 minutes, but who's to say that that 90 minutes doesn't come against Lille, and then it comes against PSV, and then he starts
Plymouth.
Spurs, and then he starts Plymouth, and then he misses the Merseyside derby. Like, as we can only go off what we know now, and we know now that he's not first choice.
What we know now is the only one who is really first choice is Gakpo.
Yeah, like you just have to look at the minutes, and that may change, in which case you have to adapt. But it's, for example, if Jota was to start Brentford 90 minutes, bench against Lille, coming into Ipswich, then you're maybe slightly more interested. But
yeah, just to throw another name at you as a differential,
Szoboszlai.
Yeah.
I mean, how much is he? 6'3". How much
6'3".
Is
it's just the easiest to get to.
I mean, yeah, 1.5% owned, but I suppose why not? He's probably going to start twice, isn't he?
You'd expect I mean, there's also links with Harvey Elliott getting a loan or something. If that was to happen, that would also boost it. While Harvey Elliott is there, that puts me off a little bit, just because there's that extra risk of minutes. But I don't hate it. Take some set pieces. Probably the most likely out of all of them to play all of the games. Yeah, I quite like Szoboszlai.
Like, with these fixtures and this spacing, I think the favoured thing probably has to be Bournemouth and Everton playing the strongest team. Don't you think?
Yeah, they say chat is saying Jones as well is an issue for Szoboszlai, which is probably fair. Just trying to throw someone else out there that's not the obvious of Salah, Diaz, Trent and Gakpo, and it doesn't sound to me like Diaz particularly much either. You completely off the double defense?
I think so, yeah. I think I do like Pickford, which obviously in turn rules out Alisson, because Pickford has West Ham at home in Gameweek 29.
So
and Leicester at home in the double.
Yeah. So I agree on Pickford, but my only thought with Alisson is if you buy a third Liverpool player who's an attacker, right, that causes you an issue in 29 because you've got to sell them again. But if you buy
it's an opportunity though, isn't it?
It is. But if you buy Alisson, you can just hopefully, if Fabianski's still in the West Ham team, that's not an issue in 29. That's another reason where Alisson is just the easy route for a lot of us, because it's the easiest to get to because most of us have Raya. So Raya to Alisson is really straightforward because Raya plays Man City that week. Then you can hold him and bench him in 29, and then they have nice fixtures all around it. Alisson is the easiest option. I would say Gakpo is the more exciting and probably better option. Also, Liverpool fans have not been very pleased with Alisson recently.
Yeah. I mean, but when it comes down to it, like, it's not really a question of 3 Liverpool. If it's a question of Alisson against Pickford, I kind of think, and the likelihood outcome in 29 is still that, I know Sam's in the chat, but it's still that Liverpool will overturn 1-0 against Spurs.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I don't particularly see that strong of a case to ignore Pickford. And we know Alisson, like, always has an injury in him as well. And I don't actually have Fabianski, so in my case, I can't really go there.
Yeah, if you don't have Fabianski, you can't go Alisson, I think, unless you're free hitting in 29. It's just a transfer in for a goalkeeper just for a double to sell them. I don't think it is worth it.
Yeah.
The only thing with Fabianski as well is you do have a new manager. Yes, he started this game. Yes, he let in 2 crosses. Do we know in, I don't know, 3 game weeks time?
Because he wasn't on the bench, was he?
Who, Areola?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I think Foderingham was on the bench.
Just
Areola hasn't been in the squad for 2 games.
Okay. So presumably not fit.
Yeah.
Unless he wants to leave.
Yeah, this is true. He probably wants to play, I assume.
Yeah. He was left out of the squad intentionally. Let us, someone in the chat, if you know on Areola, let us know. Because, yeah, I mean, Alisson is an easy one for me if I do have Fabianski. But again, I just do look at Pickford, and it's probably easier. It's just committing more transfers to Pickford and then still wanting a third Liverpool. So as I say, Alisson's probably the easiest. I also have, so let's look at Everton. I also have a certain Mikalenko in my team who has been there for so long and rarely ever gets anywhere near the pitch. And finally, he might get his moment in the limelight to play in the double at home to Leicester and at home to Liverpool. I would not advise anyone to buy Mikalenko if you don't own him already. There's only one Liverpool player I think I'll buy between now and the double, and that is Pickford. And I just don't think the attack is worth it. I know they've got Leicester at home, and it will get to it, and people will think it's appealing. I just like the fixtures around it are just not good enough. Like
You
never
wait till
going to play.
Ndiaye scores tonight. You wait till Calvert-Lewin gets a penalty tonight, and the narrative swaps. It will swap. Like, who've they got? Then they've got Spurs at home. I mean, like, you can see Calvert-Lewin getting above Archie Gray for a cross.
Yeah, but realistically, that's what this weekend.
We're speaking 3 weeks out. If Ndiaye or Pickford score 2 goals in 3 and have
Ndiaye or
Leicester
Pickford.
at home,
Pickford scores a couple of goals. He's definitely coming in.
Ndiaye or Calvert-Lewin score 2 in 3, and we're sitting here before Leicester at home. I'm just saying, I think you might change your tune slightly.
Can you promise to not let me change my tune? Well, Calvert-Lewin has done it in the double before when he had Liverpool. I think they won 1-0 at home. And he scored a header or 2-0.
Like, you'll have João Pedro, right, going to Nottingham Forest. And that is those players must be similar in price.
Yeah, but I might need to get to Gakpo.
No, that's true, but I'm just saying it's easy to laugh now, but you haven't seen David Moyes work his magic.
God, we're really clutching at straws here.
I'm not planning to get one, or I'm not saying we should. I'm just saying, like, how FPL works. If Calvert-Lewin scores 2 in 3 and then has Leicester at home in a double and plays and has a home fixture in 29.
Yeah, I get it.
People will want it. People will want it.
Yeah. People do crazy things for a double, including myself. So I'm not ruling it out, but
probably not.
I don't think it will end up happening. A quick look at the defenders, because they do have Leicester at home. Any love for actually one of the highest scoring defenders in the game, which is Ashley Young?
Has he stopped tweeting? Has he stopped having a pop at the Coventry manager on Twitter yet?
I think so. I'm just going to be honest. He should have played Ashley Young's song.
I don't think he should. They were 1-0 down. Why would you bring on a defender who's never played football, who's never played professional football before?
Yeah, I get it, but also that moment would have been so good.
Yeah, what? Let's put it into context. Like, we're 1-0 down in the FA Cup, and instead of bringing on João Felix, he brings on Achimpong for 2 minutes.
Fair.
Would you? Yeah,
I do get it. But also, I mean no offence to him, but that moment would have been bigger than their cup run would have been, or that team's going to achieve, realistically. But that's from a third. Yeah. I understand from his point of view that it wouldn't have gone down particularly well, but yeah. I think he should have brought him on. I would have brought him on.
Yeah, but the Chelsea example, you wouldn't have that, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, so if you're was it Peterborough or Coventry? I'm sorry,
Coventry.
I forgot.
Peterborough.
Yeah.
Because Coventry's Lampard.
Yeah, that's true.
Lampard would have done it.
But am I considering Ashley Young? In a word, no, to be honest. But I just don't think I've got a defender transfer. I've got Van Dijk, Gabriel, Munoz, Dunk, Castagna, and they all rotate quite well. So I just can't really see myself fitting in. If I had 3 or 4 transfers, you could maybe, but what's his maximum he's going to get is 8-7 points?
Yeah. I'd take 8-7 points from Mikalenko. I'd bite your hand off for 4 at the moment in the double. But I agree. Pickford is definitely the top name. I just don't look at the defence and particularly love it. I've already got Mikalenko. I'll play him in the double because there's actually, I think Munoz is away at Man United that week, so it works quite well. And I'll just play Mikalenko for the double, and it'll be what it will be. I like Pickford. I think almost everyone will be looking at a goalkeeper for the double, either Pickford or Alisson. I just think it will be a popular route, particularly with
Raya playing City. So
Raya playing City that week. It just looks like an obvious move for a lot of people.
Yeah. Having said that about Ashley Young, my defenders, Dunk is away at Forest, Castagna's away at Newcastle, and Munoz is away at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Got to play one of them.
Which one
to
are
be
you
honest,
selling
I wouldn't...
for Ashley Young? One of them. Just like you said, people will get there and think Calvert-Lewin is good. You'll get there and you'll think Ashley Young's a good pick.
Yeah, I really shouldn't though, but...
Crazy
I'll
things
probably
happen.
pay Munoz at Man United.
I bought double Luton defence this time last year for their double. So I took a -8 for it as well. Alfie Doughty and Kaminsky.
Those left foot crosses.
That never came to anything.
I do think Tarkowski is something like, if anyone's got a 15-pointer, sorry, my light just fell over.
That's all right.
Bullet header against Leicester, who can't defend, sent pieces in the chat.
It's true.
It's not awful.
Yeah,
but this is getting into the point of like, how much fun do you want to have? I suppose, like, how much do you actually, if you want to go for it and just say, well, it's a double game week, the potential's there, just do it. Like that's what the game's about, having some fun sometimes. And if you've got the transfers, I guess why not? And then covers you 29 as well. Yeah, it does help with 29. Definitely a benefit to Everton. That is not necessarily a benefit at the moment to. But as it stands, I think the template will probably be 4 doublers with a Salah triple captain. You would have thought. Yeah,
so
Pickford,
you still have your triple
Salah.
captain.
Yeah, I'm using it.
You're going triple captain. You're not tempted at all by the assistant manager?
No, I just no, I don't think so.
Any idea on when you plan on playing this
as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would have to start taking hits as well.
Yeah. Any plan on when you think you'll play the assistant manager?
End of the season, I think. Try and get that table bonus. It's probably the biggest upside chip, so I'll probably save it. Till we know what teams are fighting for. But one thing I would say is, if you want to use it in that week, I think Moyes is better than Slot because the Ipswich fixture's not involved.
Yeah, I get that. So what, you play Moyes at home to Leicester, just hope they win that, and then see if they can get a point against Liverpool.
Yeah. And then you could move it on, or you could keep it.
The only thing with doing that is you're almost certain that you're going to move it away at Palace, whereas you could keep it on Slot at home.
By then, could there not be a 5-point bonus involved?
Yeah, there could be. Unlikely, I think. But Palace have got good fixtures between now and then, so they could definitely be higher. Sam in the chat, 31 to 33 or 36 to 38. Yes, I agree. My only concern with 31 to 33 is it's a really tight window of when you have to do things, because a lot of us will wildcard 30 and you'll be 3-hitting 34. Let's say something doesn't go right and you don't wildcard 30. Suddenly the whole thing goes out of... It's just a very, it's bookended by 2 other things that you want to do. That's my only concern with 31 to 33. I, as well, am looking at 36 to 38 for it. There'll be some good opportunities to take some punts on it as well. There's some good opportunities. Hopefully Pep has his double in 36, which is predicted. I think it's Southampton away, Villa at home, if they look any better.
I just looked at 31, 33. The fixtures, and Emery does stand out, to be fair. He's got Forest at home, Southampton away, and then Newcastle at home. That could be worse than that. Yeah.
34, you might not be a free hit, though, depending on the FA Cup. Yep, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. That probably likely to be the biggest blank, though. So I think
I just think there's going to be better chances than Slot with no table bonus.
Yeah. Are you definitely going for table bonus?
I think so. Makes sense. Especially at my rank. Makes sense. You try and get 30, 40 points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not?
I think that's probably the play. Yeah, I plan on playing my triple captain as well.
But even if you don't use it on Slot, now and you want to use it on a good manager, like as you said, there's going to be Pep. There'll probably be some Maresca opportunities, some
Hmm.
maybe Nuno. Like it's not be all and end all on Slot these 3 weeks. I don't think.
I mean, I'm not going to play. Definitely not going to play it on Nuno. I'm almost certainly going to play it against Nuno
Yeah,
because as much as I love Forest and as well as they are doing, they are probably the team that is the highest up the table that has the ability to be beaten by teams lower down the table.
yeah. I mean,
And
they're
maybe
not
that's
odds on to finish
underestimating them.
second. So no,
Yeah,
I mean the bookies don't think they'll finish second, so therefore
yeah,
it makes sense.
yeah.
But yeah, I do think it's worth it just leaving it now for now.
I also, and I think Sam made this point, I'd quite like to see other people play it first. Like, with a triple captain with a bench boost, we kind of know what's going on. Like, we kind of know the benefits, the good times to play it, the bad times to play it. Part of me would like to see people go first with the assistant manager chip before I play mine.
Yeah.
Just to see how it goes, the benefit, to how many people get it right trying to do the table bonus, how many people actually lose out by trying to do the table bonus, like how predictable is that sort of stuff, how well do you do if you try and just go for an obvious manager, stuff like that. And yeah, once you get to the end of the table, once you get to the end, there might be beach teams in theory. And I think the big thing that I need to get in my mind with the assistant manager is drawing with a table bonus will get you more points than winning without one. So, like Palace at home against a team above them in the table, like Palace at home to Bournemouth, like, for example, I just take that. So that's what I need to remember is a draw at home. Okay, yes, you get the bonus for the goals and the clean sheets and stuff, but clean sheets are pretty difficult to predict.
That's why I go Moyes. Like if you're desperate to use it this week, I think you go Moyes.
Yeah. Yeah. We are halfway through our 3/4 way through our stream, and there are 500 of you watching. Hello, happy Wednesday. I hope your game week has started okay. There are only 50 likes on the stream. If we could hit that to 100 likes, that would be fantastic. That only needs 10% of people watching the stream to drop a like. That would be fantastic. All of our streams are being sponsored by the Fantasy EFL. I know Sam in the chat and lots of the scout team are involved and playing it, so get involved. It's basically a free hit every week. It's like playing Fantasy Challenge. You get to pick different teams from all of the EFL, not just from the Championship as well. So go and check it out if that is something of interest to you as well. So I think the best thing to do now is to put it into a bit of context and put our teams up and talk about what we plan on doing over the next couple of weeks, because I think teams are quite similar within reason.
Yeah.
So I've got your team up on screen first. Do you want to talk through it? And I suppose what your plan is for this week, but also for the next couple with the double in mind.
Yeah. There's one question in the chat, just we'll probably cover it off because it's like breaking news just about Chalobah. So he's been recalled to Chelsea. From a Chelsea perspective, I think he's probably come straight into that team, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
He's definitely better than Tosin. And I think Achampong's probably just like, I mean, you don't get many 18-year-olds starting in the Premier League every week as a centre-back. And I would be surprised if he started again. So what do you think? I mean, do you think A, he'll start for Chelsea, and B, do you think that's Palace weaker, or how do you
Yes,
see
I think
Palace?
it's Palace weaker because I think Chris Richards isn't good enough at the moment. Maybe he'll get up to speed and he'll be fine, but he's definitely their weakest centre back at the moment. From a Chelsea point of view, it's not a great look, if I'm honest.
No, what happens every year, doesn't it? We don't like him, and then he comes back and starts.
Exactly. Like we tried to force him out of the club in the summer, and now we want him back. As a Chelsea fan, I'm very happy to have Trevor Chalobah back at Chelsea. Yeah. I'm a big fan of his. I like having players who love the club like he does, and when you see him play, you can tell how much it means to him. I just hope we haven't annoyed him past the point of that feeling. But I expect him to come straight in. I think he fits that right centre-back, right-back role really well. When you've got a Reece James or a Caicedo inverting, he fits that last centre-back position really well. So I expect he'll come straight in. I do think it means Palace will be slightly weaker defensively. But, yeah. Your thoughts?
Yes, so, I agree. I love him, and I think he makes us stronger, just like the end of last season. He didn't play till January.
Yeah.
wanted to leave, and then he started, I think, last 13 games
Yeah.
under Poch, scored against Spurs, I remember.
Yeah.
So that's probably it. I don't know how much he is.
4-4.
Yeah, it could be one to watch for the doubles if he does get in that team.
Yeah.
Because like Disasi leaving, he's not really like maybe Tosin gets a game, but hasn't got a massive threat. I wouldn't have thought.
Not really.
No.
Or Achapong if we play twice a week though. That's the thing.
Yeah. But yeah, that's probably just It's probably Palace is more interesting ahead of their bench piece as well. Watch how they change.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to my team, I'll just read it out for the podcast. Raya, Van Dijk, Munoz, Gabriel, Ahmad, Gordon, Palmer, Salah, currently captain, João Pedro, Jackson, Isak, and then bench of Rogers, Castagna, Dunk. So my thinking is this week João Pedro to Wood.
Yep.
Next week Jackson to Gakpo, and then 24 Raya to Pickford.
So that gives you Van Dijk, Salah, Gakpo, Pickford. I think that'll be the common three.
Yeah.
Common four.
I think it's pretty standard. And then I guess like at that point, I wouldn't sell Isak, obviously. I wouldn't sell Wood. So I'm not going to skip the Everton forwards probably correctly.
Yeah.
And then I guess the temptation for a hit. But if it's for a hit, I'm not going to buy Ashley Young for a hit. I'm like,
no.
Because that takes away the clean sheet. So that'll probably be my four. It's a tricky decision this week, Castagna or Munoz, or maybe even Van Dijk. I don't know. What do you think?
Castagna versus Munoz is close. I mean, I think when you watch Palace, like he is just so advanced. Like, I don't think you can bench Munoz. But we might see Palace be weaker defensively without Chalobah there. And maybe that impacts it. But I would say, particularly with Fulham going back to the back four, that I'd play Munoz.
Yeah. And then captaincy, Salah. Palmer now outscored Salah 3 times in the last 5 weeks, which may or may not mean anything. But I mean, I think with Palmer, right, the odds on he's going to score. And when he scores, he gets 10 points.
Yeah. But when Salah scores, he also does.
Yeah. Do you fancy Liverpool to go and like...
I mean, I don't love that Brentford defence, if I'm honest.
No. Foden scored twice last night. Probably will be Salah, but it might actually just depend on how well my game week goes. Like if I'm still around 1 million looking into next week, I might just roll the dice again.
Yeah.
But probably the smart pick is back to Salah this week. Or Isak home to Bournemouth.
No. Bournemouth were good last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having said that, Jackson racked up a hell of a lot of chances.
Yeah, that's true. And Isak would have had an absolute hatful if he'd have been playing up front for us last night. So let us know in the chat who your captain armband is on for game week 22 at the moment.
With Bournemouth, you're better tactically. Sorry, did they subbed off a defender for Kluivert? Was that
yes?
What did they change there?
They put Cook at right back, I think.
Lewis Cook right back.
Yeah, from midfield and put Kluivert into midfield.
Yeah, because that did seem to Palmer after that didn't really seem to do much. But yeah.
No. Chris Woods for Sam. Surely not. Surely not.
It's just the fact, do you think he's going to score more than once?
Yeah.
It just seems like
his
1-0
ceiling is
Forest.
Just one.
Yeah.
There is also part of me, now that Taiwo Awani's been linked to West Ham, probably not. I did wonder if Taiwo would start that game, but probably not.
You're not benching your star man in a title race, Harry.
Southampton at home. We were in a title race and we benched our star players. Not anymore, we're not.
No.
My team for the weekend, David Raya in goal, Munoz, Gabriel, Trent, Salah, Bruno, Palmer, Gordon, Wood, Isak, João Pedro, Ahmad, first sub, Mikalenko, Greaves, and Fabianski. Almost certain I'll roll this week. Even if like João Pedro's out, I think I'll just play Ahmad.
I'd be tempted to do that anyway, to be honest.
What? Ahmad over João Pedro? I mean, let's see how they get on. I do have Bruno, so I am just a little bit low to start double United because I have been burnt by it a few times in the past weeks. And, João Pedro is always on pens. Like, we saw that against Arsenal, that he doesn't have to have the best game and he's on pens and he scores one. So I probably, if João Pedro's fit and we think he's going to start, I probably will play João Pedro over Ahmad. So let's see what happens with Brighton tomorrow night. He's of course on my bench for this week, but yeah, I can't see anything particularly glaring in terms of upcoming transfers. João Pedro to Gakpo, I'm quite far away from it in terms of money. So if I was to do, I've got like 500,000 in the bank. So João Pedro to Gakpo and Raya to Pickford. I'm 0.6 short of that.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure I see where I get that money from.
And it's Ahmad against Gakpo as well, if you frame it like that, if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, I don't necessarily mean for this week, but I'm looking at
this week, yeah.
I'm looking at the double.
Yeah.
Like if I go Pickford in for Raya and Gakpo in for João Pedro, where do I get the money from that?
You're still 500,000 short.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to sell.
Chris Wood to Visa frees up the money.
Yeah, if it's purely for money, that move makes sense, but otherwise it doesn't.
Yeah,
Gordon,
I don't love it.
when are you? There's not a difference between Gordon and Mbeumo, is there?
No. Gordon's cheaper, so I can't really do that. Gabriel, but they're like 24 is the start of a pretty good run for them. 23.
Yeah.
Like,
what about Trent to Canate? What? Because you had a bit of a roller coaster on Trent on the weekend.
Did I?
Too much time on Twitter, I think.
Yeah.
But,
I did have a little bit of a roller coaster.
You still think he's going to start twice? Are you not going to sell him? You wouldn't consider a downgrade to afford what you just said.
I don't think so. I think the spacing, if it was midweek, weekend in the Prem, I think I'd be worried.
Yeah, and if you've just tuned in, we did just look at the Liverpool fixtures about half an hour ago, and they've got a potential Champions League dead rubber and an FA Cup game sort of in between. There is one thing about the Salah triple captain, right, is he does play Spurs between the games.
Yeah.
It's slightly risky.
Well, he gets
not
injured.
Enough to stop, yeah.
I don't think it's enough to stop me, though.
No.
Because he could get injured in the first game. But I suppose it's an extra game, but... Yeah, so that's what I mine up for the double, but I don't know where I'd get the money from for it.
And if not, you just do Raya to Alisson.
I could just do Raya to Alisson, and João Pedro to Dominic Calvert-Lewin instead.
Would you do Raya to Alisson? Would you do Raya to Alisson
I think I do...
23 ahead of Ipswich at home?
They're away at Wolves, though, Arsenal that week. I could just go Raya to Pickford and just... I mean, I could do Raya to Pickford and Gordon to Diaz. Like, I thought I can afford that.
I don't think you should do Gordon to Diaz.
In 24?
Gordon has...
Fulham at home,
and Diaz probably has one start. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then would you go straight Diaz to Mbeumo the week after?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you were trading that on, that's probably worth a gamble.
Yeah, so that's my plan. And this was actually the reason I wasn't certain on buying Chris Wood. It's because if I want Gakpo, Chris Wood might have to go to get Gakpo. So that's why I don't feel particularly comfortable with any of these transfers. So I don't know if I will go Gakpo.
I think if you found out he was starting against Ipswich, it would be quite hard to avoid.
I can afford it with Bruno to Mbeumo.
And that would be in
24 or 23.
Brentford have got Spurs at home 24, Palace away 23. Yeah.
So that's something I could do. It frees up the money. Then I've got to think about going back to Bruno.
You're forcing in.
I'm forcing in Gakpo.
It's not easy.
This is what I mean. And this is why for a lot of people I wonder if the goalkeeper move will just be easier.
Yeah. I do wonder. I do wonder if Trent, I don't know, Trent to Van Dijk. If it's for free, I'm not convinced you'd lose out on too much. But yeah, you'd probably get an injury between now and then anyway. Something will come up.
That's true. I could also sell Munoz, but I'm left with 4.1, which doesn't look great with my other defenders of Mikolenko and Greaves. So,
what about João Pedro down to Jefferson and Chris Wood, Gakpo?
I don't need to go all that way. I can do it if I sell Chris Wood to Visa.
So you could swap in Visa and Gakpo for Wood and João Pedro.
If I bought Pickford for Raya, yeah.
That sounds quite good.
Yeah, I've got a few ideas. I mean, there'll also be price changes between now and then. Probably not in my favour, but let us see. Yeah, that's the idea at the moment. Pickford, Gakpo, but I'm short of the money by 0.6, so I'll have to find a way to free it up by between now and then.
Yeah,
that's where we're at. Cool. More games tonight. Lots of FPL to go tonight. Hopefully Anthony Gordon scores. Hopefully João Pedro doesn't start tomorrow. Hopefully Munoz scores as well. Lee promised me a 13-pointer on off the bench last week for Munoz, and I haven't forgotten it. So
how's he getting 13?
I didn't try and do the maths on it, but
gotta be 15. Aim high. He's so due. He is so due.
Yeah, that's true. How does he get 50? How does a defender get 13? Clean sheet. Oh no clean sheet.
2 goals, 3 bonus, and conceding a few. If they lose 4-2 and he scores twice, he might get 13 points.
Goal and assist would be 9. 2 appearance points.
11, and 2 bonus.
And 1 bonus.
So no clean sheet, yeah.
Yeah. All right. He did Brian.
That's guaranteed. There you
That's
go.
guaranteed. Munoz 15-pointer. You heard it here second. You heard it on the pod the other week. First, right, we will be back next week, usual Wednesday time, with a normal week of FPL. It feels like we haven't. Can we just have normal Saturday deadlines? That would be great. That would be great.
Ahead of 23.
Yeah, but it's not even because it's like a 3 o'clock deadline or 1 o'clock deadline because it's a later game. Anyway, thank you, Tom. Hopefully Chelsea have a win next time we're recording because it's been a while.
Yes, 5 games. Although we beat Morecambe, so it's not all bad. Yeah. Reece James, when are you buying Reece James? What a free kick. I knew that was in as soon as we got that free kick.
I said, I think Reece is going to pull rank on this free kick. I thought Palmer was going to take it, and I was like, no, Reece is having this. And I didn't think he'd score. I thought it would be a negative that he took it. He hasn't scored in 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. First goal.
What a guy. It is all time to buy Reece James at some point.
It will be a conversation, without doubt, before the end of the season.
It will. Anyway, thank you all very much. Have a lovely rest of your week. Have a lovely weekend. We will see you next week, and good luck in the remainder of Game Week 21.
Cheers, guys.